because it's a small enough school, everyone knows each other, and so uh, everyone was and is today, I think, very connected to each other.
I'm Agnes Stowicki, Managing Editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private and independent schools to bring you insights into school programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administration. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
I think because of the size of the classes and the school in general, you got to know everyone fairly quickly. So when I started at the college in grade seven, I'd come through the public system uh, prior to that, and so there's always nerves and things like that. So it was a very welcoming environment, and so I still keep in touch with my grade seven teacher at the time who welcomed me there, and it was very much a familial sort of environment. So it was easy to get to know people and my classmates and the teachers around. So it was pretty easy that way to get to know people. So that was probably the most apprehensive thing that I was worried about when I started there. Well, I've had some exposure with some of my other friends and colleagues sending their children to different colleges around the Golden Horseshoe the GTHA now they call it, um, and it seems like Hillfield Strathallan is a little bit more. I don't want to say smaller, but they seem more nimble and able to address you know needs and challenges and things that come up for the school and the students and for even parents concerns, things like that. I know nothing's ever perfect, but that seems to be a big thing that they're able to pivot fairly quickly even with the pandemic. And I'm sure all the independent schools had a protocol and things like that, but they were very quick to react and put a plan in place that seemed to work for everybody. I would say welcoming. When you have new people come in, they embrace their differences and the similarities, and they kind of bring them in together. I remember that quite vividly. That would be my first one. Reliability, in terms of even after years of leaving the college. I graduated in 1989, and you're always able to go back and talk to the teachers, and you get that same experience and connection that we had when we were kids, which is really great. And so that reliability factor is very comforting. And so I would think that parents who are looking for uh, a home for their kids academically, and it's not just academically, you really evolve as a person, as a young person into a young adult. uh, that reliability factor should be quite important. What would my third one be? I think that a lot of the school traditions, maybe traditions is a good word for it, are really being looked at as something to continue. Sometimes you want to get rid of some of the ones that maybe didn't work so well, but the ones that really were embraced by the students and the staff and the parents. Those traditions, as I said on the alumni board, as I mentioned, those traditions are trying to be uh, reinforced and reintroduced in various things, whether it's uh, events or uniform or different postings and internally. It's uh, tradition is a pretty important thing, I would think. I think there's probably a lot of things. I think uh, one of the biggest glue factors for me was the staff. Students were great, but my unfortunately my father died when we were kind of in the middle of the school, and the staff to me meant a lot, and they still do. Um, And so, when my dad passed unexpectedly, the staff really stepped up, including the head of school back then, Mr. Wansborough. He was quite empathetic and understanding about what happened, and so were the rest of the staff, my coaches and things like that. So, staff is very important. Academic staff, administrative staff, they all were quite great. And then, the students are always, because it's a small enough school, everyone knows each other, and so uh, everyone was and is today, I think, very connected to each other. I went to the prefect installation in September, and it's really neat to see how everyone still gels, uh, even though it's how many years. I think it's, oh geez, well, 30 plus anyway for us. After all these years, if that those traditions still are there, and that connection is still there. I keep in touch more with my Hillfield colleagues than my university friends, and fortunately or unfortunately, but it's a great place that way. I think that word tradition kind of comes back. Tradition, reliability, um, performance. The school has to perform academically for kids to get into higher organizations of learning, and so that all has to be there. That all is there for many, 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 many years. Um, but in terms of the tradition of the school, it's I think people in our community, and again, when I was there was no internet or anything like that, right? And so now everything gets so blown up quickly, people kind of figure out, oh, maybe this is somewhere we should be thinking about, because they've got the track record, it's local, it's smaller than some of the other independent schools. So you get that academic performance, but with the small school feel, which is, I think a lot of people want that. I know my business partner here is sending his child there as of September. So, and now we had that chat, and he went and I spoke to the admissions officer, and his daughter's going there. Um, so yeah, I think those kind of things are important. I think that reputation always as far as I know, always had a great reputation in the community. Um, so I think all those things are important and play a part into how parents will look at it, and how the community in general look at the college. I think it's that even though the school has grown, it's still small enough to kind of keep track of those traditions and the connections between the school. And it's even better now than it was when I was there, because they really pay attention to that, which is good. The Alumni Association, which I'm part of, they are trying to keep fostering and promoting the young alumni to start taking those traditions, and start carrying forward, because as we all get older, unfortunately, right? And uh, we want to get them involved in the Alumni Association, and that's starting to happen too, which is great. um, because the students of today are the leaders of tomorrow. I think that's how they say it, right? So that is neat to see, and I think we get in, even alumni get involved with theatrical productions and things with the kids and things like that, and so that connection is kind of woven through the school, uh, the fabric of it, whether it's academic or uh, the arts or athletics and things like that. And that connection is really strong, and it's getting better and better. Well, like I mentioned to you, like my dad passed when I was 15, unfortunately. And a lot of the teachers and staff were really, really great in terms of how they supported us. The day my dad died on an air crash, unfortunately, and where when it kind of came out in the news, it was in the news, unfortunately. And my basketball coach was at my house that day, that afternoon, and it wasn't just a player coach sort of relationship. It was different. The rest of the school was like that too, that knew us, and like I've got myself, and I've got a younger sister who was 3 years younger than I am, and a younger brother who's 5 years younger than I am. So he was in the junior school. I was in grade 10 at the time. And so, like, all throughout the school, because it was so small and it was a pretty big news story too, the staff were there at the memorials and things like that, and all sorts of stuff. And so, in terms of molding, yeah, it's can be an emotional thing to talk about, but they were really good in terms of, my personal experience was, I can't even say enough about some of the teachers that and coaches that were really instrumental in helping us kind of get through that tough time. But some of my coaches to this day, I still, when you see them, either at the golf tournament, or sometimes there's a teacher that's out of the country right now, and when he comes back, a few of us get together and have lunch or a couple of drinks and things like that, and dinner. And so it's always nice to see them, right? And so that connection is really amazing. And so, and I think that even happens now with, as students kind of get older and progress through the school, and they're starting to get ready to leave and go to university or whatever their plans are for their future. um it that I don't that aspect hasn't changed. Mine was just slightly different. It was really cool. It's an emotional thing, but it's something I'm very proud of too. Because the guidance area was relatively new at the time when I was about to go to university. I wish that was a little more robust at the time. Now it's quite good, because now the kids start even younger, right? We had grade 13 back then, um, and so now it's as far as I understand, everything is starts a lot younger, and runs a little bit more focused in a focused way, to be able to help kids make their decisions and things like that. So my experience there was pretty good. My friends I still have today, there's not a lot I would change. Sure, if there was more technology back then, yeah, it might have made some things better, but there was that wasn't there for anybody. So it's hard to say that, but aside from maybe having a little bit more guidance on the university stuff, uh, but again, even then, we kind of made do. It was pretty good. That's a good question too. I stayed involved with the school because right after graduation, I was working at the college at the camps. They have a day camp there that did sports and different activities and things like that. That was open to the college kids and outside kids as well. And so that guy Graham Clements that I mentioned, he started the camp years before that, and he brought me in to help with the camp as a counselor sort of thing. And eventually I helped him, and I kind of took over it with another staff member. So I was there for, I think there probably 7 years till I graduated university. It was a great job because and it's a familiar place too, right? And so I enjoyed being at the college in the summertime. Um, so in terms of, you know how it's changed, it's neat to see how things have progressed. Like the camp is still there, funny enough, and it's even bigger and better. Um, but it's neat to see how the campus has changed, and strategic plan for the future. There's more changes coming. So it's a matter of trying to stay involved and being part of that, which I kind of want to do, and see how involved we get with that. But in terms of uh, change perspective, like some of those things are still like the traditions and the old ways of doing things. Some things have evolved, but the main traditions and tenets of the school are still there, right? And so, um, and that's being embraced by not just alumni but current students as well. And we're trying, when we have alumni awards that we give out to alumnus who have achieved certain things in their field of study or business or whatever. And so we invite the senior school students to come and be part. It's all part of that prefect day. in September to be part of that presentation to see, this is what your alumni is doing, these cool things, right? And so that again was never there back when I was finishing high school at Hillfield. So that's evolved over time, and to the point where now that should be a tradition that goes on, that takes on for a long time, I hope. Uh, Academically strong, if that's want to call that one phrase thing. Um, the reputation of the school, and the connections, the community side of it, that is present in the school. All three of those things I think would be enough for me to want to send my kids there. In terms of the education that you get, the connections that you always make, uh, and how the school has evolved to the point where today, facilities are fabulous, the teaching is fabulous, and the after experience is fabulous too, right? Because we're really trying to keep the alumni association involved with a lot of different aspects of the school. Um, so it's kind of like what I call it, soup to nuts, right, from beginning to end sort of thing, right? uh Hopefully that child has a great experience from right from the time they start the admissions process all the way through. They take their education, and hopefully they leave the school to go to university or higher education from there, and have that great connection to the school that keeps them wanting to come back. I would say get as involved as you can be. uh, my daughter is going off to university, and I've told her the same thing right from the beginning. She wants to be a teacher, which is great. I said get involved with as much things as you can because it goes by so fast. So don't take it for granted, because I wish I could go back. I really do. And so it's take advantage of your your childhood, if you want to call it that, or your education when you can, because it goes by so fast. And so the experience that you can gain, the people that you meet, uh, and same thing at Hillfield, right? I would say to a prospective student or a family, uh, get as involved as you can be, because that really enhances the education piece of it. Because if you got the other things that surround it that have been really good to you too, whether it's teaching or athletics or arts, all that stuff together just molds that education piece. I think it just solidifies it all pretty nicely.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.